trying to say something. Oh, that's so much louder.
Is it okay? Good.
I hear me.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Is it too loud?
no.
Okay. Okay.
Do you need that too?
Can I put my lips on it?
I don't care.
Okay. Be careful. Now it's not single-use
It's
plastic.
no longer single use, exactly.
Double used.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Future of. Today we have three very special guests. Kuma Echeverria, a biology teacher at KS who has a clownfish on a diet. Kuma Souza, a physics teacher who practices the second best martial arts in the world, just like his Portuguese bean soup. And Kuma Lee Carol Glennon, a biology teacher that plays air guitar. I've seen her play air guitar. Today on The Future of, we talk about de-extinction. But before we start, I would like to thank our sponsors. Marsh Design and Construction. You got a picture that needs to be framed, a projector that needs a stand, a hula sled that needs to go down a hill. Marsh Design and Construction's got your back. De-extinction is the one thing I would like to see happen. When you go out to the gym, you start to work out, and the guy next to you starts to stink. Like, how can we get rid of that, guys? Go for it.
I don't know. I might be that guy.
I think that's Troy talking about.
I might be that guy.
How do we get rid of Troy?
I'm in the gym doing work.
So let's talk about bringing back some animals, guys. Let's bring back the animals.
All right. So Jurassic Park style, de-extinction. We have.
Shouldn't we have learned from that movie? I mean, that movie kind of tells us everything we need
Yeah,
to
sure.
know.
If you want to bring back a velociraptor,
Right.
But there's lots of things extinct we could bring back that we could actually cuddle with.
I want a velociraptor to cuddle with.
I know there's lots of cons we can probably discuss, but I don't know or can't think of many pros in doing such.
In bringing back an animal.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead, Troy. Go for it.
You go first.
You go.
From what I know of this, give me the mic. No,
Flexing.
I know. That's what he was doing.
I was not flexing.
It was fun.
I think he was.
Someone of his eyes kind of
don't worry.
squint a little bit.
Focus.
That's what happens when you do work in the gym. Anyway,
You stink.
And it's a small room.
It's
Yeah.
so
not much ventilation.
de-extinction. The odds of us actually bringing back something that has gone completely extinct is still at this moment impossible. Because if you think about it, we would need just about 100%. We would need not just about. We would need 100% of that species DNA. You can't just grab 50%. You can't grab 70. You need the whole thing. Now, we have tons of DNA out there that we can fill in spots, but that wouldn't be a true organism of what it once was.
Right.
Like, a T-Rex. We can bring in a chicken, the closest descendant to dinosaurs, and we can fill in their DNA, but it would still be
Wouldn't be the species
Yes.
entirely, yeah.
So
Well, but I think we do have species where we do have their entire genome. We do.
Like?
Yeah. So I think a lot of work has been done with the woolly mammoth, for example, and so with passenger pigeons. And so, but the, I think there are certain criteria that need to be considered before we just, one decides which animal you're going to bring back. I think it has to have some sort of unique ecological niche that is not being filled by
Right.
something else. It has to be relatively recently extinct because obviously the planet has changed since the day of the woolly mammoth. So I think that work on the woolly mammoth is probably going to halt sometime soon.
And that's considering we would bring it back and then release it into the wild.
Right.
I feel like if we were to bring back something from extinction, it would be in a lab or in a zoo. And that kind of brings up all other ethics behind it.
But I think the people who are doing this work do not want to do that. And there's no point, because it's really difficult work, I think, but there's no point in going through all that work if you're just going to put the animal in the zoo.
Right.
But, I'm thinking, for example, and when it comes to prop time, we can talk about a little bit more about it, but for example, there are only 2 northern white rhino left in the planet. So we have their entire genome. And the last male died in 2014, 2016, something like that, right? Sudan was his name. So they have sperm, obviously, stored from that male. So they could bring back this rhino. And they've done this before. They did it with a goat, Buharto or Buharto, I think that's the name of it. And they actually did, so they took the DNA from this extinct species, and they developed it, put its DNA into an egg, into a goat, and actually produced a living, whole, extinct animal, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. But it only lived for 9 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
Because of respiratory issues. And I think they've done that several times, but the offspring die because of some sort of physiological issue that I think is a result of having been frozen, maybe as an embryo, or having the sperm frozen, or the eggs sometimes coming from, the eggs would come from a regular female, or the sperm coming from an elderly male. Like this rhino who died was like 45 years old by the time he died. Mm-hmm. So I'm just thinking, that there are some species that are on the brink. They're on the brink of extinction, and we have all of their DNA. Should we bring them back? And I read some articles somewhere, and they said, well, it's a bit like playing God. To bring back like the passenger pigeon, or to bring back, other organisms that have recently gone extinct. But then, by the same token, aren't we playing God by making them extinct in the first place?
Isn't it our responsibility if we're taking them
to
bring them back or keep them here?
Right.
What that makes me question the logic behind all the money spent to bring back an organism that's on the brink of extinction, because why are they on the brink of extinction? Right. Deforestation, habitat loss, climate change, those things aren't changing, except if they are changing, it's because they're getting worse. So to put all of that money and research and time and effort into bringing more species back into the population, what are we going to do to remedy the cause of their extinction?
But would that be a motivator for us to try and remedy the cause of their extinction?
Would hope so.
Right.
I would definitely hope so.
And the thing about, just to go back to woolly mammoths, because, I didn't really know this before. I was like, why would they, what's Troy doing?
Just asking you a question.
We're listening.
Why bring them back? And so, since they became extinct, I guess sort of the tundra has just become a boreal forest. Yep. And whereas before, when the woolly mammoths were there, they would, keep it as a grassland, and actually it then is more of a carbon sink than just these boreal forests that are there now. And so, it does actually serve a pretty pertinent and valid ecological function now. But...
So if you listen to our previous one, sorry not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
If you listen to our previous GMO topic, would it be even more unethical to bring these creatures back while splicing their genes to adapt to a situation? Maybe making...
which is biotech animals?
Yes.
Right, so taking some of the genes that controlled their function, right, the ecological function, and take those genes and put them into the closest living relative, right?
Like making a fluorescent woolly mammoth.
Well, I think that's kind of, that obviously is going too far. They've done it. They've made fluorescent pigs. Did you know that?
No.
They got pigs that glow in the dark.
But
I think...
Yuichilo.
Yes, exactly.
Not Yuichilo, Yuichimano.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did it.
Wow.
But I think that that's an example I think that would push people away from de-extinction or any work on de-extinction.
If we were to just consider species that are already extinct, like the woolly mammoth, for example, it's kind of the attractive one to talk about. I mean, we have the liquid blood that we were able to extract recently from one of the bodies that was thawing out in the tundra from the melting ice. If we were just to talk about that, what are the ethics behind doing that? And you splice it into the closest living relative, which I think is the Asian elephant. What pieces of that animal's sort of instincts are lost? What's lost from not being raised by a mother in a pack or in a herd or whatever, So even if you wanted this animal that you have brought back from extinction to live and function so you can study it or so you can have some kind of normal life, is that even possible?
Right. Exactly. I think there are two ways to go there. One is to actually bring back the extinct animal itself, 100% as it was. And the other is to do this splicing of what we would call useful genes into the closest living organism. And I think that second one is perhaps has the ethical issues, because then we're doing that because we want that ecological function.
Right.
We as human beings find it useful, and that's why we want it, rather than bringing back a species that we caused to go extinct.
Right.
So I would be more in favor of bringing back the species that our activities caused to go extinct, rather than bringing back one, do a hybrid
Right. And
that will serve a function that we consider to be useful.
it's like what Troy was saying, that it's really not even the same species anymore.
Right. Right. It would be a hybrid.
So the next thing is, we know there were woolly mammoths. Do we know what they ate? Do we know what they needed to survive? Because then we would have to care for its environment. Now, a lot has changed. Those plants, those things that they might have eaten have gone extinct. There could be some things we don't even know existed.
I think that's why one of the criteria for selecting an organism for de-extinction has to be the relatively recent extinction, so that the habitat is still there.
With that, I mean, the only reason we should or would bring them back is out of guilt of causing them to maybe go extinct. But what real purpose would they have back in the environment?
One might question, what purpose do zebras have? What purpose do giraffes have? Or elephants or buffalo or hippo?
But wouldn't you much rather have like a half zebra and half lion? That'd be pretty cool.
No.
Like stripes on the bottom.
I think our money's better spent.
I'm in. Next to my Velociraptor before I go to bed.
Your zebraion.
I think our money's better spent not worrying about de-extinction, but maybe trying to prevent extinction from critically endangered species on Earth currently. Because, like you were saying, what's the purpose?
Yeah. And just go back to that possibility issue that Troy raised earlier. Is it possible? I think at some time we thought it's not possible to put a rover on Mars. But we did.
Check.
Could we put a man on the moon? But we did. So I think that we have the smarts to do all these things. But it goes back to the ethics of it, whether we should or whether we shouldn't, and for what reason would we. But you're right. I think that we do have to address the issue of our extinction rate and why are these organisms going extinct. And I think one of the main reasons is habitat destruction. Troy's flexing it.
That was a flex. My next question is, why would a scientist want to do that? There's no profitability besides getting maybe grant money for trying to preserve a species. Because of course, hands down, let's be real. Here in America, if the bald eagle, which it is kind of going, less and less, its population is declining, that would be the only one that we would really put money into because of the whole symbolic symbol, unfortunately. But if you look at, like, our last one where we were talking about GMOs, wouldn't it be much more profitable to make a fluorescent pink kitty that you could pet, you know?
Right.
Then
You've lost me.
No. I see your point.
this makes no sense.
The general public isn't going to be investing anything into de-extinction or, research along those lines. But you tell someone you can sell them a cat that glows pink.
They'll
They'd
money
pay.
for it.
Oh, yeah.
So you go back to our original Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
They had to make a park that people pay to go into and see these things.
Right.
That was the profit part.
Okay. I think now we've strayed, at least for me.
I'm just saying.
We've strayed far from the reasons why people actually spend time trying to
I know.
bring a species back. Yeah.
And on that note, time to the props. So here it is. So for the props, what I brought for de-extinction was this handy underarm deodorant to get rid of the stink. The guy at the gym.
Is that antiperspirant and deodorant or just deodorant?
It's clinical protection. I don't know what that means. Clean and comfort.
Because I'll take the antiperspirant.
Okay. Yeah, non-irritant, antiperspirant.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Has it been used?
So,
Is it extra strength?
it is
That's kind of
prescription
what they
strength.
need.
I don't know where.
Look at the back. What is
It's
the,
like a truckload and a boatload.
how much zinc is in there?
20%.
Nice.
Right. Right.
I won't smell. Can I have that?
No, it's mine.
You don't even want to ask if he's used it already?
Lee Carroll has some special props.
I don't want to. Okay. Is it prop time?
She said props. There's two.
Yeah. It's number one. Yep. Let's bring back the nerds.
De-extinct. The
De-extinct.
nerds.
Number two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
We're ready.
now.
I'm so
If we bring back the nerd, we got to bring back the bully. That's hands down.
No.
Because of the bully, I've become who I am.
Ooh.
Taking the number
That's
8
deep.
martial arts.
So let's do
Karate.
the future of the bully. Okay. Why am I going twice in a row? Don't you have a prop?
brought
You brought two props.
Don't you have a prop? Oh, you did.
I brought my son's dinosaur storybook.
It's really good. It's
It
kind of
is.
scientific.
Oh.
If you would like to know about, the funny thing about reading these things, I can't pronounce its names for nothing, and my son always corrects me. It's kind of embarrassing. But my favorite is the Velociraptor. And it tells you all the great information. Like it had feathers.
I love this book.
It is a great book.
Okay. I brought a photograph
Pinky swore I wasn't going to
Yeah,
laugh.
and you're not
And
gonna.
I'm not sure if I'm going to regret that or not.
because,
I'm about
Okay.
to break a promise.
or I'll say the R word. Okay.
What's the
It's
R
a
word?
photograph. What,
Okay.
What could it be?
You
It's a
don't know what the
photograph.
R word is?
No, what's the R word?
Oh.
Well, we're not going to say it.
I'll only say it if you laugh.
What?
And you don't want me to say
Oh
it.
my God.
You don't want me to say
I don't. Okay.
Okay. So, all right.
I got a glimpse of it. I got a glimpse of it.
All right. This is
It's not even funny. I got
Okay,
a
this is
glimpse.
not going on. So, all right. Why did I bring this? So, yes.
Oh, there's an elephant.
This is a rhino.
Oh.
It's a rhino.
Idiot.
You'll cut that out.
No,
Wait, let's do that.
live.
Oh, it's a rhino.
And that's my daughter. And there are other rhinos back here.
Is that
Who's
you?
this
So-
young lady?
Is that you? Wait,
No.
hang on.
Why would we laugh?
Because I'm so stupid.
It doesn't. What?
I
It doesn't look like you at
Anyway,
all.
That hair.
Is it? She's spitting
It
up.
looks just like you, Lee Carroll.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Like yesterday.
Thank you.
What are you
Yeah,
doing
does
to her?
No, that's not what it.
Thank you.
up. That's what he said.
It looks
Just
like
like
the baby's
yesterday, Lee
spitting
Carroll.
up.
That's how babies are. He's blowing a balloon.
That can't be
She-
more than 5 years.
As she.
She's blowing a balloon. Can you please
No.
have the
no,
camera?
no, no,
The camera.
no.
Okay, so tell us
Okay.
about this photo.
So I brought that because we talked about the northern white rhino earlier in the show, and
She's literally
so-
surrounded by rhinos.
yeah. So and I put my baby on the back of this rhino.
Well, I mean, CPS might have been called.
So I brought this because they're using
Africa.
this is the southern white rhino, and they're using the female southern white rhinos to carry the embryos of the northern white rhinos that they have managed to produce. The two living females, the northern white rhinos, are too old to carry babies. So they're using these southern white rhinos. So this was taken some time back, and this was up in Meru National Park in Kenya, and there were 5 of these rhinos here. So there were 3 females. One was pregnant. There was a male, and a mature male, and then there was a younger male. These rhinos are guarded 24/7 with guards that have AK-47s. So shortly after my visit, some bandits came down from Sudan, and they killed all of these rhinos, and they cut their horns off, because that's what they do. So they cut their horns off, and they sell them to places like Yemen to make dagger handles, or to China, where they grind them up into powder because they think that it's an aphrodisiac. And yeah, so all of these rhinos were killed for their horns. And that's why the northern white rhino is going extinct. Sorry,
Why
it's
did
a
you
sad
think I was
story.
going to laugh?
I don't know, because I look so
kill
quirky
that.
there.
Yeah, we're not going to Africa, that's for sure.
And on that note,
I'm kidding.
okay, that was pretty darn special to be able to experience those things, go out there, be with the rhino, and share your part of life, your part of life with their part. Yeah, it's kind of hard when you put effort into trying to bring back something, and someone cuts those efforts short, and so that's happening. It's real, and there got to be a way. We got to talk about it. We got to let our ideas known, and hopefully there's entities out there that can support these type of efforts where we're protecting animals, where we're protecting species, because we are on one planet, and we got to take care of it. It's not just for us.
And as Jane Goodall says, she says the most effective way to protect the environment is through education. And hopefully that's what we're doing here, right?
I like it.
Hey guys, thank you very much for showing up today and being a part of this.
What's the next one?
The next one is, what are we doing next?
Ooh,
Terraforming.
Right.
We just got the game in.
Terraforming.
Just came in.
Yeah.
I don't know where we'll be able to play it, but we have to be able to play
Yeah.
it.
That's actually, I'm pretty good at terraforming also. So like I'm really looking forward to talking about that.
In your collar?
Huh?
In the collar?
Yeah. Okay. And on that note, we'll see you guys next time on The Future of.